And welcome back to the Hyperspace Podcast. My name is Sam, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, it's Mr. Michael Gosh. Michael, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Another good episode to talk about today.
100%, yeah, another very good episode. If you don't know, we're reviewing Bad Batch episode 7, but you should already know that as you've clicked on the title, and this is definitely in the title. This one was called Battle Scars, and yeah, what do you think of the episode overall? As you said, it was a solid episode, wasn't it? One of the better ones.
Um, yeah, possibly one of the best so far. I think we will get into it, but a very good cameo and a cameo we all knew was going to happen, but one that even if it wasn't going to happen, should happen. So I
Mm.
think the cameo was good because it wasn't just, oh, here's this character. They served the purpose in the story.
Yeah, 100%. They definitely served a purpose. Get it starting. Let's start with a breakdown. Start at the beginning. There was a small time jump between the last episode and this episode, probably like a few days or a week. And they're on their way back from another mission, just getting shot at. Of course, it's another mission which they've not, it hasn't gone without a hitch. You know, there's always got to be, they're going to be shot at by someone. It can never go smoothly. Wrecker and Omega get some popcorn back on the planet with Sid, and yeah, Wrecker's headaches have been getting worse, which we've talked about for ages, and about his head. And this episode, we finally saw what we had been predicting come into action. But we'll talk about that a bit later. One of the things early on, I didn't think Sid would be as forgiving as she was about the tactical droid thing, because I thought she'd be mad
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they wouldn't go back to her. Maybe they just leave, but they went back to her, and she seemed to like forgive them pretty easily.
I think it's because they're so good at pulling jobs. Like we saw earlier, although they had that little mishap with the creature escaping, um, they seem to like have like a fairly decent routine with her now. I don't know whether this is a job later or a couple jobs later. Also, that job, I don't know why it was, but it kind of reminded me of like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where they when they off the scene where they steal the batteries. I don't know why. I think it's because they stole something from someone else. I don't know. It was really good. Again, I think it's nice they did the little time skip because we sort of, like you said, we head into the action we've been waiting to see. And I didn't think she was going to be forgiving about it. I thought she'd grill them about it.
Yeah, she let them off with almost a slap on the wrist, but
Yeah,
but yeah, it was so Sid then is mid talking and insulting Goggles slash Tech, and here's some gunfire. We see a man. We just seen a hooded man. Wonder who that is, and it's Captain Rex. He
we
has
saw
returned.
before we see like him unhurt. We do see like the blue on his arm, like, and the clone armor on his like right arm. So it's really obvious that it's him.
Mm.
But yeah, it's good to see him. But I think yeah, it's good to see him, and it was a little bit of a surprise he showed up this episode. I thought we had a little bit more. I thought we were gonna have another maybe one episode where Raka goes, completely off the hook for an episode, but we also weren't sure how they were going to play it out with Rex, if they just wanted a small cameo or if he was going to be in it the entire episode.
Mm.
But
I'm
yeah,
glad he was in it for the full episode, because
mm,
you can never get enough Captain Rex content.
no, I think we've talked about it. He needs to be in. They need to figure out how to put him in the live action shows, especially Ahsoka. He has to be in Ahsoka.
100%.
Um, because it makes a lot of sense that he would be, unless they want to kill him off screen, which again I don't think. I think that they like it. I think Dave Filoni doesn't have the heart to kill off his like one of the best characters.
Yeah, no, he can't kill him off, surely. I mean, he does ruthlessly kill off a lot of people, but I don't think he could kill off someone as beloved
Yeah,
as Rex, or even Ahsoka. I don't think he could really kill
they
off.
almost killed her off in Rebels. I thought she was dead after the fight with Darth Vader in Rebels, but clearly not.
He had to bring her back. He just couldn't bear it. I bet you the plan was to kill her off, and then like he had a nightmare the night after doing the recording. It was like, no, we need to bring her back. But yeah, he loves them too much. Rex turned out to be the person the Martez twins communicated to. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we've seen the end of the Martez twins. They might get another
Oh, I've seen
cameo.
I've seen the I've seen the fan base absolutely flipping livid about it. Like, I hadn't realized how angry people were about like how much they hate her, both of them.
I think
Like,
it's harsh. It's harsh.
yeah, I think it's a bit harsh. Although I understand, like, I didn't really like them in Clone Wars. It's like the uh the episode with Ahsoka was one of the best Ahsoka episodes, but it's one of the worst bits of season 7 because I don't like them that much.
They're not that bad. I personally
They're fine.
don't. Yeah, I don't hate them as much as the rest of the Star Wars community. But yeah, they've been used once this season. It'll be interesting to see if they come back. Omega straight away looks at Rex and is like, "You're a Generation One clone." And I've seen the
Yeah.
Star, and this is another thing which the Star Wars community have gone, this is another thing that proves she's force sensitive. And
It's not. It's not. It's not. It just proves she's really perceptive, doesn't it? Because she says, "Oh, I can tell by the lines in your face," and it's not
yeah,
like he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I've been around."
it's just so yeah. She
Just,
literally could just be saying that he's old.
yeah, he's old. She basically just called him an old man and said, "You must be like old." And the thing is, because they have accelerated aging, it makes sense. You could probably tell which ones were the first few batches, like were in that generation one, the first few batches or whatever. It makes sense that she'd be able to tell. We were talking about lines. There's been a few good lines in this episode already. Some of the lines this episode.
Yeah,
God, there
hundred
was.
percent.
You talking about the popcorn? I laughed when Hunter said it makes the kid happy. No, when he said Wrecker says it makes the kid happy, and then Hunter replies, the kids."
Yeah, it's so obvious. It's so obvious that it's Wrecker, and that's not the
uh,
last time we see the space popcorn in this episode. But we'll get,
yeah,
we'll get
what
onto
they call
that
it?
later.
What they call it? Mantel mix or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, but it's,
That
you
it
know what?
did.
They're gonna. That's I bet 100% bet you Mantel mix is gonna be the next thing at oh my god, what's it called? Galaxy's Edge.
It hundred
It's gonna
percent
cost
is
it's gonna
happening.
cost you $200 for like a small box and $201 for a large.
I could 100% see that happening. Any way to get more money, and it's basically just some food coloring on popcorn, and then
On yeah.
that's so funny. But yeah, they
Uh,
after Omega notices Generation One.
mm,
They talk about Wrecker getting more frequent headaches, and this makes Rex very agitated. And then he finds out they haven't got their chips removed, and like Rex reacted like he was terrified.
he would have shot them, I think, if it escalated further. Like he's like ready to like put his. I think also like you said about him being Generation One. I want that you said that you think he might turn up at the end of the season. It was mentioned how they need a Generation One clone, and I'm
Mm.
surprised no one's. I don't think I've heard anyone putting two and two together. So here's my take. Rex may be the one they try and get back if they find out he's alive, or a clone of a similar age as Rex, which could be Cody,
Yeah,
because Cody is also a Generation One clone, I think.
or Wolf. I think he's Generation One as well.
So one of those three could well be brought back, or I think the Kaminoans will try and buy them back. I reckon Cody could be. Here's my prediction: Cody could be the one they use then, because we already know he works like an Imperial trainer, like later on in his life. So possibly they will use Cody.
I do. I want a piece of Star Wars media, like preferably on like in a show or a movie, just to like go to what Rex is not Rex, what Cody's doing now, because we have like nothing to go off. I think there's either a book or a comic on it, but I just really want to see him back in one of these TV shows.
I guess also he's been Order 66, so his personality will be completely gone.
True.
Although I wonder how it again with the personalities. I wonder how much it affects them because we do see a little bit sometimes they have a little bit of their original personality, even if not very much of it. They
Yeah.
always have a slight amount, but it's not. Yeah, so I wonder what they do with Cody if he did come back and he was the Generation One clone. Anyways, back from that tangent,
Yeah.
the complete tangent. Yeah, he really does. Like, I think he has a lot of trauma. We're going to talk about it a lot more in this episode because there's a lot more small moments where you can see Rex is still
Mm.
really trying to again. It's not been that long. I think it's probably maybe been a month or two since Order 66, right? Something like that. It's not been a year or something yet. It's not. It's nowhere near a year yet. So he's still really dealing with what happens at the end of
Yeah,
the Clone Wars.
100%. Yeah, and yeah, he gets very agitated, and then they meet him again on Braca, and this isn't the first time we've seen this planet. It was in Fallen Order, featured quite heavily, where Cal Kestis kind of hid out to hide his force abilities, and there's some speculation. Is this a hint? We're gonna get Cal Kestis in Bad Batch.
No, we're not. Sorry, we're not. That's all I have to say about it. Like, we're not going to get Cal Kestis.
Fair enough.
With
Short and
Bracket,
sweet.
well, we've seen him. He was on Braca, like at the point in which the clone army was wearing the stormtrooper uniforms, right? If not, they were just recruits. I think they were just some of them were just recruits in that. Actually, no, they were all recruits in that game, which means it's late enough on. And also, Cal Kestis aged like 5 years at least
Mm.
between when Order 66 happened. So I'd assume I don't think he would meet any clones or be involved in that until later, unless he appears, if he has a small, 5-second cameo where he's working on Braca, sure, but he won't be involved in the plot, and so it's unnecessary,
Yeah.
really.
If he is involved though, he is probably he's around the same age as Omega. Maybe they want to give her her a friend, though I think it would come up in the Fallen Order game.
I
Like,
think they would have they'd be retconning another piece of media.
oh, imagine. Oh, please.
Although we say that, we'll get onto it, but they seem to have undone or like at least confirmed some stuff from media they have retconned as being still canon.
Hmm.
Anyways, well, yeah, it was interesting they picked Braca though. I guess they thought that was the place where we already were trying to figure out how they would remove it and where they would remove it, and so they kind of answered that in this episode, how to do it and where.
Yeah, it certainly answered some questions, but I've still got a few more which I'll talk about later. But yeah, one of the things I liked is Rex still has his Y wing. I love a Y
Uh,
wing.
I was
Love
I
it.
was going to mention that you can see the blue Y wing in the background of the
So
shot. It's the
nice.
same one, right? Yeah.
It's just a beautiful piece of machinery. But yeah, he still has his Y wing, and they land on Braca, and you can see Rex talking to Echo about fives and how he turned out found out about the inhibitor chip, and I'm just there like, oh, it just makes me so sad.
Oh
Domino
yeah,
squad,
Dollar
they're
Squad.
God,
F for Domino Squad in the chat.
massive L, but it's just so
Uh,
sad just seeing the, as you said earlier, like Rex dealing with this trauma of all his friends pretty much are dead, and
I mean, we see the way he talked to the Bad Batch, like
mm,
earlier, when he was telling them about the chip. He's like, no, he says, "I've seen what happens when the chip activates. I don't want to bury any more of of our brothers." And I was just like, "Oh shit," I remember that, like, because I think we might have talked about it before off the podcast, like when they did all the burying of the clone troopers at the end of season 7, he would have had to de-helmet every single one of them to put them on those sticks. And like that was like the entire ship's worth of troopers as well, wasn't it? Like it was
yeah,
like it must have been like it would have taken hours to do. And he would have had to look at the faces every single one.
yeah.
And he's like, that's probably why he reacted the way he did. He'd like so adamant they need to go and remove them, which is why we end up, him saying him bringing them to Venator to try and remove them. Like you said, I think he also feels bad because Fives explained it to him and he never quite got it. Like he didn't. I think he had the same reaction to Fives. They found out about the inhibitor chip and they weren't that surprised. They weren't that surprised by the chip so much as what it did and what could, like, the reason why Fives reacted the way he did is because he like gets told by Palpatine the plan to destroy the Jedi, right? Which is why he's so shocked about how high up it goes, because it goes right, like he said, he goes right to the top. It's a conspiracy of like, decades of planning as well.
Yeah, it's another thing is I always go back like the Coruscant Guard. You just could have used stun. You didn't need to
Yes,
kill him.
yeah,
Just use stun. They're the most hated clone, like Legion. The
yeah,
Coruscant
they
Guard.
are.
Everyone hated them. The clones hated them. The fans hated them.
I'm pretty sure the people on Coruscant also hate them.
Yeah, they were
Everyone
heavily.
hates them.
They do it. That does really annoy me. But yeah, back to the episode. We have Wrecker attacked by the creature. I literally have written in my notes. Go back and check what it's called, but I've forgotten to do that. But it was the same creature that attacked Luke in A New Hope.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. It's quite a lot bigger than the one in New Hope, though.
Yeah, it's not like the exact same one. It's not like
Oh, yeah.
it might not be like it's not like the Rancor, which could be the exact same one.
Well, it's
Imagine
just
that
it's just the same creature, yeah.
they just go to Braca just to get this creature so they can put it in the trash compactor in the Death Star. They're the exact same one. That would be funny. But
Wow.
yeah, it was the same species that attacked Luke in A New Hope. And throughout the series, we've had many little callbacks. Dave Filoni loves putting at least little Easter eggs, doesn't he? Of having little throwbacks like this creature, the Rancor, and yeah, it's just great to have some original trilogy throwbacks. And Inside a Republic Cruiser, which we haven't seen for a while. This is the first one we've been inside in the Bad Batch, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's the first one we've seen since season 7, The Crash. I
Yeah,
think. Trying to think if we've seen any. No, I don't think we have seen any others because they just use their shuttle everywhere.
yeah, they just shuttle everywhere.
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen the Imperials use any, but they get to the med bay all in one piece, just about. But then when Wrecker gets scanned, it happens. What we've all been waiting for. I can't believe it happened as early as episode 7, but
yeah, and
his chip activates.
I think I said it at the beginning of this episode. I thought this episode would happen, but it'd be 2-3 parts maybe, and further on in the show.
It's like an episode 10, like or 11.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I thought maybe that the next couple of episodes would be like more jobs and stuff, and then we'd get like slight build up of like it's getting a lot what is going to happen now, and then it does happen, and then they have to go find Rex goes and finds them when like Wrecker is going like berserk. But I guess it's quite nice. Well, I guess because they've dealt with it now the show has got a lot of room to do other stuff now, and it's been building up for quite some time. So maybe it's just as well they've dealt with it now, because I think the direction maybe they're going to go towards, which we'll probably talk about later, is to do with Crosshair more so now.
Yeah,
And that's going to be more pivotal now.
Yeah, they'll definitely go back to that character. So Wrecker's chip gets triggered, and he almost strangles Tech. He attacks everyone. He almost kills Omega as well, but then Rex stuns him. I mean, he saves the day so much, Rex. You just can't dislike this character, I swear. He saves kids, he saves clones. I mean, he could save the Titanic, this man. We were saying that he couldn't save his brothers from Order 66, but
He couldn't say Fives either.
yeah, and he couldn't save anyone else in Domino Squad. He kind of lost Echo as well.
He kind of saved Echo, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but he did. He was also lost Echo in the first place.
The thing is, we had some parallels again, but we'll probably continue talking about it. It's season 7, more parallels. We saw uh, when when he grabs Tech, he says you're in direct violation of Order 66, exactly like Jesse had
Yeah.
to to uh Rex when he when he when he stops him being a commander, and Rex gives that great line. I didn't like being a commander much, anyways.
Yeah. No, I mean, Dave Filoni, he loves a one-liner. He really,
Yeah, he
he
really
really,
does.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's So yeah, we have this scene. Rex stuns him, saves the day, and everyone gets their chip removed. There was a bit of tension because it did take a bit. It did seem like a while for Wrecker to come round after his, but it was all good in the end. And Omega just and Wrecker had some space popcorn
popcorn. They
again,
whip out the space popcorn.
and yeah, everything's all good. But then this is when the big questions come in. First of all, after this, Rex is clearly talking to someone on his comm and plans to meet them. This is the first question, the big question: who
Huh.
is he talking to?
All right. Well, I think we're gonna. I have a feeling we have the same answer, which is clone defectors or a wider scale rebellion. Although I don't think Rex is in contact with the would be in contact with the rebellion yet.
Maybe he was with Saul Guerrero though in Clone Wars.
Yes, yes. So it could again. Saw Gerrera is probably the contact he has. When I say the wider scale rebellion, I mean like Mon Mothma or Bail Organa or that general guy from the end of Return of the Jedi. Although I imagine he's a kid still, right?
Probably, yeah.
You know which guy I mean? The guy who had an action figure for absolutely no reason because he had one scene, and it
Iconic.
was to he had one scene and it was to inform them that they had a shuffle.
It's amazing. You gotta make an action figure out of it. But
I know.
yeah,
I feel sorry for the poor kids who got that action figure. Like, oh yeah, who am I going to get? Is it going to be Darth Vader? No, it's that guy who says there's a shovel. There's nothing else.
it's Christmas. You're opening your present. You're like, oh, I've got a Star Wars action figure, and it's that guy. You'd be devastated. But yeah,
Imagine,
who
especially with the current collection of figures, you can have a Rex, you can have a Ahsoka, you can have the Mando. No, you got that guy from Return of the Jedi. He does the briefing.
do you reckon? Do you reckon he's like ultra rare though? Like, mate, that he might
Yeah,
sell.
maybe,
He might sell for like loads
maybe,
of money.
maybe maybe we have to look at that for an into episode. We have to track one down.
Exactly. We'll track one down and then
Feature episode. You heard it here first.
100%, 100%. But yeah, after that
Uh,
tangent, who do you think it is?
Who do I think it is? Sorry, complete tangent. Likely Wolf or Gregor, maybe, or both of them. It sounds like it's going to be it's either going to be those two if he knows that they have disobeyed Order 66. We're still not sure what the hell's happening with those two,
Yeah,
and if they did remove their chips or whatever before, or if it was an afterwards thing.
yeah,
It
yeah.
may
That
well be the case that Gregor was so far away from the Jedi he never had Order 66 issued, hence why he was immune. And then Wolf, we don't know about.
yeah. Wolf is has a big question mark over his head about what actually happened to him, and I was wondering if that was going to get solved in the show, and I don't think it will be, to be honest.
It probably should be because I mean it won't be, but it's something we really want to answer because well, if we look at like Wolf, he in Rebels especially, he like doesn't like the jet. Like he keeps going back to Order 66 and that programming. I don't know whether it's because he didn't have the personality that Rex or Gregor had. Because Rex, the reason why I think Rex was okay after X using Order 66 is because of how he is and how
Yeah,
he always been. Because he was able to like even resist like enough to like say, oh look, like he was able to say fives and like shaking, and we see it when he drops his helmet and stuff. Like he really resists it a lot more than maybe I think people give him credit for.
yeah,
Because
100%.
like we see Wrecker tries and he's like not got a normal chip and he cannot, like he doesn't hesitate for a second,
Yeah,
really.
there's like
At least
he kind of slows his words a bit, but barely hesitates.
Tates, yeah.
It's
And I think you realize how rare Rex is to be able to have actually given, like, he's the reason why Ahsoka's alive is because he was able to resist just enough to give, say, look for fives or whatever, and like not shoot her immediately.
yeah,
Because if he shot her immediately, I think he would have just caught her so off guard,
yeah, probably.
honestly. Because I think she'd sensed that Order 66 was going on and Anakin and stuff was happening. There is no way she would have known, though, in that. I don't think she would have been able to react immediately. The fact she sees him draw his blasters and like he hesitates is probably the reason she survived.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He is the reason she's alive. In terms of
Saves more lives, Rex.
yeah, what a guy. We love him. Who in terms of who I had to think about who he's talking to, and to be quite honest, I don't have a clue. I really am stumped for ideas. Uh, it could be Wolf or Gregor, but again, we don't really know. Gregor, I don't know if he's found him yet, and Wolf, I don't know how soon his chip got removed, or it's most likely it could be the Martez twins just re-meeting up with them or something. Or some people are saying Ahsoka. I've seen a few rumors saying
I don't think Rex and Ahsoka were in contact. Well, that's the other thing is earlier on the episodes when he said he was keeping a low profile. The one thing he said was that the reports showed that he was dead,
Mm,
right? Which I don't think is really discussed in Rebels or like is mentioned in the Clone Wars so much that they like actually they both like cover they basically fake both of their deaths, not just Ahsoka's but also Rex's,
yeah,
which is what the case was in the book. Which is why I was saying they haven't really retconned the book. They retcon parts of it, but they seem to want to keep it canon for now at least. So I
yeah,
don't think it. Well, by the fact they've kept that canon, I don't think they're going to retcon basically the entire book if they meet.
yeah. I think it's unlikely.
I think they're going to want to keep them separate because like otherwise it also takes the like a lot of the anticipation when like in Rebels where Ahsoka and Rex meet again.
Yeah. No, it really does take away from that moment. But
Because that
we
moment's
think
like that's the first time they've seen each other since the Siege of Vandalore.
it's amazing that moment. It really like it's a proper nice Star Wars moment, and it's probably not going to be Ahsoka. I think that's a lot of fans just kind of hoping and just wanting more Ahsoka and Rex content, but it's
I mean,
unlikely.
I do too, but I just think it's not necessarily the right play. Like if they want to do the Bad Batch, like they've got to just they could wait until when they get to the point where if this is as multi-seasonal as we hope it is, or they do have these time jumps and they make it up to the Rebels period, that's when you include Rex and Ahsoka together again.
Yeah,
Because otherwise you take away from that moment, you take away from a lot of the character development we assume Ahsoka has gone through. And
yeah,
also Rex is meant to have not had contact with her. So you
mm,
have to, I think if they can get to the point where they get to that point, which I don't know if they will, but if they get to that point, then I think Bad Batch would be really interesting if they do that, or if they do like what Rebels did, which is at the end of Rebels, they like show where they all end up.
yeah. It's a big question whether it will be multi-seasonal. We've said a few times we think it
We
will,
think
just
it
because
will
of
be,
the
yeah.
amount of episodes they've spent setting up these characters. But there are certainly some fans speculating that it'll be one season and they will get killed off.
I don't think it'll be one season. I think they've got at least two, to be honest. I think it's just the fact the pacing was so slow in the first, 3, 4 episodes. It doesn't make sense for a non-multi-seasonal show. Like, when you like, it's because these characters didn't really have any existing character depth because they were basically like very 2D characters in Clone Wars, which was fine. That's all they needed to be, and they served that purpose because there was all these very three-dimensional characters, like Anakin and Echo and yeah, and Rex, and they're all there's a bunch of characters around that were these three-dimensional characters. They didn't need to be much more than like the strong one, the smart one, um the weird the weird sniper one. They didn't need to exist beyond that too much. Whereas in this show, they have existed, and they do need to exist more than that.
Yeah.
and I don't think they would bother doing this if they weren't going to make it. At least, I guess the problem is it's so many episodes. They might not want to make it multi-seasonal. I don't know, but I have a feeling they should, and they might. It seems like they will based on what they've done, but I can understand why people think it will just be the one season.
Yeah, So we finished the episode with Hunter being spotted by the Scrapper Guild who contact the Empire, and that's kind of where where the episode ends. And as you said, they did take a while setting up these characters, and that would make sense to make it multi-seasonal. However, it's episode 7, we're halfway through, and they've already resolved a big issue that we thought would take a lot longer to resolve. So
Yeah,
I'm quite confused about where I've got an
where it's
idea
going to
where
go.
it's going to go. It will definitely involve Crosshair. He will most likely what will happen is Crosshair will trap them to the planet. They fight. They remove his chip, and then they go together and fight like a big bad or something. But the thing is, it's they need to remove Crosshair's chip, don't they? And the only place they can do that is either Camino or Braca. So that would indicate that if they're gonna get Crosshair's chip, that would be next episode because they're still on Braca.
Possibly.
Unless they're going to stay on Braca for like 3 or 4 episodes, which I think wouldn't be great, to be honest.
There's still stuff they haven't answered, and I don't think they will necessarily. We still don't know why Amiga, or what Amiga, or who Amiga, or we don't know what purpose she serves and why they made her.
Yeah,
Apart
from to eat space popcorn.
It's apart from to eat space popcorn, we don't know what the point is in her and why the Kaminoans made her. I do understand what you mean. Like, we've now got enough episodes; they could well just resolve the whole lot. Yeah, how many episodes you got? 9 episodes, is it, or is it? It's less.
We've got 7 more.
7 more, right? Which is definitely enough to actually resolve it all, probably. But I wonder whether they get that. First of all, look at the Mandalorian. That pretty much that's resolved the issue. Any issues we actually need to resolve now have been resolved. But then they go and do the thing with the dark saber.
Yeah, no.
If the dark saber had been handed back to oh my god, Bo-Katan, that show would have ended and nothing needed to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if they'll do something similar, or they'll do something where they have to, like, here you go, we're having more. I think they know how successful this show was going to be, and I don't think I might be wrong, but I just don't think one season's how they're going to do it. It's not like the Marvel shows where they've got Loki has his own show. They had WandaVision, they've got all these and then Winter Soldier and the Falcon. It's not like they're running 3 or 4 Star Wars shows. They will be, but they're not at the moment. And so one of them, Rangers of the New Republic, cancelled. Andor seems like it's doing okay, but a lot of these are not animated shows. None of these are animated shows. They've got one animated thing ready, but even that's not the traditional animated, and it's not from Lucasfilm. It's from other studios working with the Lucasfilm by the looks of it, which means they have like the ability to go and do the more animated shows if they want to.
Yeah, they
so unless I think, especially as we've seen, what is it? How long were their plans? 2023 or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
It's possibly it could happen that we have to wait that long to have a season 2. I think they'll do a season 2. They'll either do a season 2 or they will go and develop a new show. I don't see them leaving the animated Star Wars market for some reason.
Yeah.
They couldn't leave it long enough, unfortunately, and they made Resistance, and I've just heard very bad things about that.
Yeah, I it's definitely, to be fair, it's aimed at it's more of a kid audience than Clone Wars and Rebels. It's like a very young kid, and to be honest, I got 10 minutes in and just turned off. I personally wasn't a fan. However, I'm sure there are kids that like it. It's also in It's also in a space which I thought could have been really good for a show. I think that Resistance could have been a great idea to maybe get better publicity on that period, but I particularly didn't like it. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think the Star Wars fan base, the older Star Wars fan base anyway, particularly like it
I
either.
don't think they like much anyways, to be
That's true.
honest.
That's
That
very
no one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans hate Star Wars.
you'd struggle to find a more toxic fan base.
Harry Potter.
I think
That's
this
it.
matches it. I think this matches it.
I think Harry Potter is as far as I go, and even that isn't so much toxic within the fan base, as so much without like outside the fan base as well.
Yeah, but this is it's definitely toxic, but not you guys who are watching, or you guys are
No, you lovely people.
yeah. We're not talking
But
about you.
there's definitely toxicity in the fan base, unfortunately, as there is with most fan bases, anyways.
Yeah, 100%. There always will be, but yeah, there definitely is in
Do you,
this.
so you think Crosshair will come next episode with the report then?
I think he has
To
to
the
because they've contacted the Empire, and realistically, there will be either he'll like mentally overpower his chip, but I don't see him doing that as he doesn't really have much personality anyway. But
yeah.
they'll have to, so they'll probably have to remove it, and they can only, as I said, do that on Black or Camino. They're probably not going to go back to Camino till later in the series. So I don't know. I just think it would make sense if it happens next episode where Crosshair gets assigned to bring him in.
Yeah, I think the same. We'll have to see what happens with it. We know he's got to be in the episodes, and it's been a while since we've seen anything from Tarkin.
That's true.
I can't remember what was it. The episode we saw Guerrera, I think, was the last time we saw him. Was it episode 4 or something, maybe?
4 or 5. I think it was 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Camino since then either.
Hmm.
So I think maybe they'll bring that sort of story back. I'm hoping because we want to see more of that. At least I'm hoping when they now they've dealt with the Order 66 and the chips and stuff, they'll move on to Crosshair and a bit more from Tarkin because that was some of the most interesting stuff we were getting from the show.
Yeah.
But
100%.
I know we're still following somewhat this Mandalorian formula. I still think it's doing very different things to the Mandalorian, though. Something we haven't really talked about. But I think the last couple of episodes, especially, have really moved away from that. Although maybe we'll move back into it. We'll have to see.
This one definitely wasn't a Mandalorian episode.
Yeah,
This was far from with in terms of plot and structure. I think this was completely different, which is good because Mandalorian's great, but it's also, I think each show should kind of take its own path.
it makes sense that a lot of some of the show has felt like the Mandalorian because of the premise is going to be similar to the Mandalorian. So it makes sense they do that. Is that got that sort of structure because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and that makes sense. And they also have a baby Yoda with them,
You know
who we
me.
don't a baby Yoda who we don't know anything about except from that they exist and that they are a clone.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
true.
with Omega,
We will find out more about her. We will.
yeah
100%. That's
they've
coming.
they're going to have to do that. I like you said, 7 episodes is probably enough to answer all our questions. I just wonder whether they're actually going to do it within 7 episodes. Because
Yeah.
I think seven episodes is kind of tight because they'll have like they'll probably do the Crosshair thing, but if Crosshair comes back to them, they're going to have to do all this character development with Crosshair, and like
That's
Omega is going
true.
to have to like they're going to have to like bond. He's going to have to bond with Omega because I think everyone in the squad now has somewhat bonded with Omega, even like Echo begrudgingly. I think it only maybe Tech. Tech is just the one that they bully, right?
Yeah,
Or Sid bullies.
I feel really sorry for Tech because I think he's great. I really like Tech because he's like so smart and he just kind of gets picked on for being the clever one, and that's what happens. Yeah,
Yeah,
I experienced it, in my years because you're so smart. People
of
just
course he did.
picked on me.
Of course he did,
They
Sam.
just wanted they just wanted to be as intelligent as me.
We just have to start calling you Goggles, and you'll be all ready.
Yeah, there you go. you call me goggles, and I'm pretty much tech. But yeah, I think that wraps up
Yep.
our episode and everything we want to talk about. Very interesting episode. Let us know what you think. We want to know your predictions for what's going to happen, and how happy are you that Rex returned? You must be delighted. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you, Michael, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me again, as always.
No worries. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode, which we can't wait for. And as always, may the force be with you.